So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to start off this video by congratulating DICE EA. You know, after years of waiting, so many painful years of waiting, Battlefield 2042 has finally received its massive update. They did it. It's become the game that it should have been at launch. It's a joyous, albeit strange occasion. Mainly strange because, well, this wasn't an update delivered by DICE or EA themselves, and nor is this Battlefield 2042. The Delta Force Hawk Ops alpha test is finally upon us, guys. After all this waiting, after all this teasing, we have it in our hot little hands. And I've just got to come out and say, right off the bat here, that this game is exactly what Battlefield 2042 should have been at launch. You know, all those years, folks, when I first saw the announcement for Battlefield 2042, this game is what I had envisaged we would be getting. And yet, here I am now, playing it years later, yes, but I've gotten it from a completely different studio and a completely different franchise. And let me tell you, folks, I am so bloody impressed by what I've been able to play so far with Delta Force. It genuinely feels like it has finally happened. Someone has finally come along and decided to take a very serious crack at the Battlefield franchise and being a competitor. And that is the best thing to have happened in the first-person shooter space for a very long time now. G'day there once again, viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today, folks, let's have a good chat about why Delta Force Hawk Ops is taking the gaming community by storm, and why it is a game I truly believe will stick around for the long run. So folks, at the time of writing this video, I want to say I've dropped about 6 or so hours into the game thus far. And yeah, I know I said this earlier, guys, but I really want to emphasize this point here because I can see it coming in the comments section from a mile away about how people are just going to say, oh, this is just a Battlefield clone. This isn't... No, guys, this is a genuine competitor to the Battlefield franchise, and I would dare say it's winning the race right now. This game has taken everything from the general aesthetic and atmosphere, the gunplay, the weapon customization, the operator balance and abilities, the maps, and the general quality of life, and amped it to 11, and has delivered forth a really solid package for an alpha, no less. And I'm going to go through all those details in just a moment here, guys, but if you do find yourself enjoying the content on the channel, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We are going to be doing a ton of Delta Force content, including a lot of guides for weapon builds and stuff like that very, very soon, so I hope you guys can stop along for the ride. But anyway, as much as I keep rambling on about how the game is just a great package overall for Battlefield players in particular, but also for first-person shooter players more broadly, I do want to highlight those key points, those pillars of game design here that have clearly all added up to create such an amazing experience, all things considered. And the first thing I want to point out here, above all else, because it's something that feels like has been lost in a lot of first-person shooter games as of late, is that the general vibe of the game is stellar. The atmosphere is insane. It's immersive, it's grounded, and it feels like you are in an actual conflict. With a lot of franchises adopting the free-to-play or just general live service model with a reliance on selling you cosmetics, we are seeing tons of games that would once be, you know, grounded in this sort of military aesthetic, going for weird and wacky skins and operators. You know, we saw the likes of Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj come into Call of Duty, which I admit is not a milsim or a realistic sort of franchise, but it does take you out of the immersion that Call of Duty did once handle very, very well. While yes, Delta Force does have operators, they feel like they belong in the environment. They feel like they belong in the battle. The voice lines that they use to call out for contacts and grenades and just the general screams of pain and bloody murder you hear while you're fighting is immersive. It feels like I'm playing the likes of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, where I'll hear, you know, random United States soldiers yelling, I'm gonna fuck you up! Just stuff like that. Which I know is a very back-of-the-box thing here, guys, but as somebody who has been dying for a more authentic first-person shooter as of late, without vying so far into the milsim gameplay category, this is such a breath of fresh air for me, and I feel like it would be for a lot of people as well. But the good here just doesn't stop on the atmosphere alone. It's clear that the game just wouldn't be as addicting as it is if that were the case. No. The core gameplay loop and the core gunplay in this game is also fucking fantastic, guys. The guns in this game not only feel weighty and authentic to shoot, but they've also got a solid skill curve about them that really puts them above and beyond anything that Battlefield has done in the last couple of years. And to elaborate on that, the gunplay is relatively laser beamy as far as cone of fire spread is concerned, but there is a significant amount of recoil present, which means, full auto engagements at long distances are going to feel challenging to wrestle, which is part one of the skill curve here. But on top of that, the guns feel very lethal in CQC in the sense that, yep, if you get solid shots on someone, you're going to down them in 0.2, 0.25 of a second, a pretty speedy time to kill. But at the same time, the lethality of guns at longer distances is reined right back in to ensure that there aren't any cheesy deaths to sort of, these laser beamy, fast time to kill weapons. It's really good balance that ensures that there's an element of counterplay there available to players if they are caught out in the open, and there's an opportunity for the shooter to still score that easy kill if they are good enough with their trigger finger and their accuracy. Just generally speaking, the gunplay alone here feels like it's got far more depth than a lot of the other FPS games that we've seen on the market as of late. And that also translates to the weapon customization that's in this game. And holy shit, guys, in the more arcadey first-person shooter genre, I think the bar has actually been raised going forward now. There are 42 weapons in this game that all have deep and meaningful customization, and you can customize everything on your weapon with no limitation on attachment slots. If there is an attachment slot on your gun that is empty, you can fill it out without having to trade anything at all. You can deck your gun out as little or as much as you want. And then you can even take it one step further and calibrate your weapon attachments to have mechanical impacts on what that attachment is doing to your weapon and the overall build that you're going for. Let me just say it right here, right now, folks. The amount of customization in this game and the amount of viable builds that will be on display thanks to the great gunplay is going to be monumental. And we are going to be doing so much content covering all of the builds for guns in this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I know I also talked to the operators in the game a little bit earlier and how their grounded aesthetic keeps, the game feeling cohesive in a way. But I also want to touch on the mechanical abilities that these operators carry and the fact that they are, in fact, forced into set classes. So far, all of the abilities that the operators carry don't feel completely out of whack balance-wise, at least from my perspective. They all play very strongly into the overall class archetypes that their operators are going for. And yeah, because of that, it feels like there's more semblance of teamwork in the game from my experience so far, which has been achieved, yet still, by allowing operators into the game. I know a lot of people were concerned about this being a quote-unquote hero shooter, but I will say that the way they've implemented the operators into the game, it doesn't feel like a hero shooter. It just feels like you're playing a certain class that happens to be a character, which to me feels like a nice middle ground, all things considered. Would it have been nice to have just seen generic soldiers and not operators? Sure, I personally prefer that approach, but I understand that's not the age we're living in, and I think as far as a happy medium, this is the best we could have gotten. I've also got to take a brief moment here to talk about the maps and what showing a little bit of design restraint in your game can do as far as, improving overall match quality. The two maps that we've had an opportunity to play in Havoc Warfare so far are very well designed in my personal opinion. They're good flowing, they've got plenty of cover, good choke points, a nice variation of long and short range combat, and it feels like there's ample opportunity for both teams to win at each stage of a map, at least so far based on my time playing it. I've also found there's plenty of opportunities for flanking routes as well, which means that it's very unlikely for a game to stagnate around a certain objective unless the defense is putting on a really good show. But the restraint I want to highlight here, folks, is that, yeah, Delta Force Hawk Ops could have done a Battlefield 2042 and gone for the 128 player size games or even bigger. We've seen the likes of Battlefield do it, we've seen the likes of, hell, BattleBit do it, where they've gone for bigger is better approaches with their game sizes and therefore had to follow suit on their map designs. But because Delta Force Hawk Ops has made the decision to limit itself to a 64 player lobby size, the maps and the pace of combat on them feel so much better. There are far less instances of dead air just emerging randomly in the games you're playing, and it really does go to show that sometimes bigger is not always better, no matter how many times you redesign the maps that are trying to accommodate said modes. But yeah, overall, folks, for an alpha, This is the most insanely well-produced, tightly made, content-filled FPS game that I've played in years. These developers should be incredibly proud of what they've accomplished here so far. And with all of that in mind, I truly believe that the only thing that can kill Delta Force now is Delta Force. If the devs fuck this up with an insanely predatory microtransaction system or something really dodgy happens with the game as they push closer to release, then yeah, this is going to be one of the biggest upsets in first-person shooter gaming history. But if they can get it right, if they can listen to the community, and if they can keep building on a really solid foundation that they have here, I truly believe they have a winner on their hands like they wouldn't believe. This game has released timed to perfection. The Battlefield franchise has got nothing happening for a year and a half. People are dying for a good Battlefield-like experience, and the fact that I was able to come into this game and feel like there was no transition period whatsoever as someone who has been a long-time Battlefield player, it's a really good sign for me. I know it sounds like I'm blowing a whole lot of smoke up this game's ass, guys. I get that, but I genuinely cannot emphasize enough that this is a game that you should have on your radar. Even if you're not playing in the alpha right now, keep an eye on this game and keep note of it when it comes out, because yeah, there's something potentially really, really good here. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that will be the wrap up to today's Delta Force Hawk Ops video, but fear not, a lot more Delta Force Hawk Ops content is coming to the channel, and I may even have some alpha key giveaways coming my way in due time as well, so stay tuned for that potentially. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and if you want to stay up to date with all the Delta Force content we're going to be doing, and also go check out my Twitch channel, link in the description down below, guys. It would be my pleasure to have you there as well. Once again, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.